Hey there, and welcome to the ninth episode of the Royal Duck podcast. My name is Prarthana, and I am so glad to have you here. So, in today's episode, um, I thought of a kind of fun idea. So, just going to be talking about some of the most crazy and unusual cricket vocabulary to exist. So, the thing is, when I nearly got into watching cricket and stuff, the most difficult part for me was more than understanding the game was to remember the whole variety of vocabulary out there, because if you look at it, sometimes the vocabulary is very region specific. Like in India, there may be like some words that exist that may not be known in, let's say, England or Australia, and the same goes for even England and Australia. There may be some words that are popularly used in those countries but not really known in the others. So I was kind of uh, I would say rather stumped by the vocabulary being used and trying to remember all the words and using it in the right contexts and things like that. So in today's episode, I thought I should probably look up some of the very unusual vocabulary. So the first one is uh, dibbly dobbly. I have not really heard it being used, at least I don't know, may have been used popularly like few years ago, but I have never heard this being used, at least in the matches that I have watched. And it is used to describe a medium paced bowler who doesn't bowl fast but neither relies on nagging accuracy. So, somewhat like a neither here nor there situation. So, it's just a bowler who bowls fast enough to not be considered a slow arm bowler, but at the same time not quite as fast or accurate as your regular pacer. So it's sort of like that. And chin music. I mean, this is not exactly unusual, but I do like the word chin music. That's why I'm including it here. So chin music just refers to like a bouncer that goes really close to a batter's head. And apparently, I have heard that it sometimes they can actually hear the ball sort of whiz past their ears, like the batters. If the ball's like fast enough and close enough to their heads, they can actually hear it sort of whiz past their ears. Oh man, so I do like that word. That's why I'm including it here. It's not that it's like very unusual or anything. Then you got Nelson. So this is actually one of my favorites, you know, referring to the Nelson's figure. Because I mean, like, how did this thing even come about? Because, like, there are like two, three, like, different ideas for how this may have come about. And, like, I don't quite remember it that well right now. But the sources that I read seem to agree that there was actually a player called Nelson, and somehow this whole 111 thing was sort of tied to him in some way. But I find this whole like superstition of Nelson's figure to be very interesting. I think I should make an episode on that someday. And the next one is Zooter. uh, I've not really heard Zooter being used like while listening to like the commentary or anything, but apparently it's a different way of referring to a flipper or a carom ball. So yeah, I mean, I've mostly heard people just call it like, oh, it's just a flipper or a carom ball. I've never heard anyone say zooter at all, but I think I think people should bring that back. And now comes like somewhat more unusual range of vocabulary here. So this one's bossy. It's apparently an old school Australian term for a googly, and no one really uses it anymore. It's just sort of like a somewhat extinct word, but I like the sound of it, a posy. Okay, this one, if you're someone who's a bit sensitive about things, this one may feel a little racist, and it probably may have some kind of racist origin, but then Chinaman. So, so obviously, Chinaman's left arm wrist spinner's delivery, and it's apparently named after Ellis Pers Achong, a West Indian of Chinese descent. So now people tend to not use it anymore because it's considered like, somewhat racist and insensitive. But then, yeah, that is kind of an unusual one too. Then the next one's a mully grubber, a ball that doesn't bounce and rolls along the ground after pitching. So, yeah, I haven't really heard this word being used. So, yeah, I think it's but I like to hear it being used. But we don't really see that happening very often, right? Until like the pitch is like really that unpredictable, or is really dead flat, that where the ball won't bounce at all. But yeah, Mali grubber is like a very sort of rare, unusual. I think the phenomena itself is quite rare. So I guess the word being used is also going to be rare. And the next one's a ferret. So a ferret would refer to a tail end batter who comes in after the rabbits, and the rabbits would refer to really bad batter. And so the ferret is expected to go in after the rabbits, the really bad batters. So this would be like uh, a ferret chasing a rabbit into a hole. So basically, once the somewhat, I'm guessing, at least according to my understanding, I guess it would refer to a tail ender who comes in like after like the very like last of the middle order or recognized batters like go out. I think it would just refer to that. And the next one is a king bear. I mean, this is not really unusual, but you still don't really hear it being referred to very often. So, a king bear would refer to when a batter is dismissed for a golden duck in both the innings of a match. So, like, if the batter, like in their first batting innings, would go out in the first ball, and the same, and in when they come out for their second batting innings, they're again dismissed in the very first ball. So it just refers to that. And okay, this one's also not that unusual, but somehow many people, including many good and sincere cricket fans themselves, don't seem to know about cow corner. Like, I know, at least now we don't really see the cow corner fielding position utilized quite as much, but I feel like you should at least know it. So anyway, if you're listening and you didn't know about cow corner, cow corner is like a fielding position in the deep, right in between deep mid wicket and long on. So like, you might see all these lovely wrist work shots and flicks and stuff. It's normally like meant to like control those areas. So yeah, even though cow corner is not a very utilized position, you need to know it. And this next one's uh, a lolly. So you may have heard it if you like watch cricket in Australia a lot. So a lolly would refer to a really easy catch to be taken by a fielder. It's like a synonym of sitter. And the next one's gonna be a donkey drop. I have never heard this word being used at all, but people need to bring it back. Okay, commentators, you all need to look up these vocabulary and use it. Okay, so a donkey drop would refer to a very slow looping delivery that goes so high that it sort of ridiculously drops near the batter. It's I know it's not used, but it sounds hilarious. Come on, it's gonna be entertaining. So then now we come to ducks. When it comes to ducks, I mean this is not all that unusual because we do use the word duck quite commonly as a word, in cricket. But then did you know that there's a whole range of prefixes that are used with the word duck? Like for instance, like obviously the common ones are like your golden duck, which refers to the first ball in which a batter is dismissed. That's pretty common. But did you know about a bronze duck or a silver duck? So a silver duck would refer to when a batter is dismissed on the second ball, and a bronze duck would refer to when the batter is dismissed off the third ball of their innings. And then you have a diamond duck, in which the batter is dismissed without facing a single ball, so basically they're going to be run out at the non-strikers end. So it's again not a very common occurrence, but yeah, it's something you need to know, and hopefully I'm educating you on it. And then you have a platinum duck, or like my podcast name, a royal duck, in which a batter is dismissed off the very first ball of the innings. So you may ask, what's the difference between a golden duck and a platinum or royal duck? So the thing here is, a golden duck can be of like any is when the batter gets dismissed off their very first ball of the innings. So that can occur at like any point in the innings. It can occur in like the very first over, or it can occur in like the 100th over. It can occur at any point in the innings, but it's when the batter is dismissed off the first ball that they face. But then platinum or royal duck would refer to when a batter is dismissed off the very first ball of the innings. So it's like, they've just come to play, facing the first ball, like off the innings, and out, dismissed. So that's the difference. So, yeah, that was today's episode. Some of the more unusual and maybe bizarre and crazy vocabulary out there that exists, that that is very rarely used, or like outright extinct and offensive. But yeah, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.